Hey there, bookworms and lovers of ancient wisdom. It's your boy Kylur back at it again with another deep dive into the wild and wonderful world of the Bible. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of the Book of Song of Songs. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Song of Songs, is that like a greatest hits album for ancient hymns? Well, not quite. This book is a little different, a little steamy, and a whole lot poetic. Think Shakespearean sonnets, but with more figs and pomegranates. So buckle up, grab your metaphorical smelling salts for all the sensual imagery, and let's get our learn on.
Okay, first things first, let's talk titles. You might know this book as Song of Songs, which, let's be honest, sounds a little redundant, kind of like saying extra spicy hot sauce. But this repetition is actually super important in Hebrew tradition. It's a way of emphasizing the significance and uniqueness of the text. It's like saying the best song ever, or in this case, the song, the most beautiful, the most powerful, the most epic love poem of all time. This isn't just any song, it's the pinnacle of lyrical expression. But this lyrical masterpiece goes by another name too, the Song of Solomon. This title adds another layer of intrigue and historical context. Now, before you picture some ancient king crooning sweet nothings on a lute, we've got to unpack this a bit. The imagery and symbolism in these poems are rich and complex. You see, King Solomon, the wisest dude in the ancient world, allegedly, is often credited as the author of this collection of love poems. His reputation for wisdom and poetic prowess precedes him. Think of him as the OG Shakespeare, dropping lyrical truth bombs about love, longing, and everything in between. His words have transcended time, much like the bards. Now, whether Solomon actually penned these passionate verses is a topic debated by scholars for centuries. The authorship remains one of the great literary mysteries. Some folks think he's the star of the show, while others believe the poems are about him, dedicated to his legendary love for a Shulamite woman. This adds a personal touch to the grand narrative. It's like trying to figure out Beyoncé's inspirations for Lemonade. We might never know for sure, but the mystery just adds to the intrigue, right? The speculation keeps the conversation alive. But regardless of who actually wrote it, the name Song of Solomon sticks around, linking these poems to a king known for his wisdom, wealth, and, yes, his way with words. His legacy is intertwined with these verses. It's like branding, ancient world style. The name itself carries weight and prestige, ensuring the poem's place in literary history.
Alright, let's talk structure, because even love poems need a little organization, right? Just like a well-organized bookshelf, a well-structured poem can make all the difference. Don't worry, we're not talking about some rigid sonnet sequence here. This is more like a free-flowing river of emotions. The Song of Songs is a collection of poems, almost like a mixtape of love, longing, and desire. Each poem is a track that adds to the overall experience. It's short and sweet, clocking in at a mere 8 chapters. But don't let its brevity fool you. That's right, you could theoretically read this entire book in one sitting, maybe even during a particularly romantic bubble bath. Imagine the ambience, the warmth, and the words enveloping you. But don't let the brevity fool you, my friends. Each chapter is a world unto itself. These 8 chapters are packed with more emotional intensity than a season finale of your favorite reality TV show. Every page is a new twist, a new turn. We're talking about verses that celebrate the beauty of the human body, the thrill of desire, and the deep, abiding connection between two souls in love. It's poetry that speaks to the heart and soul. Think of each chapter as a different movement in a symphony of love. Each one has its own rhythm, its own melody. We've got the initial spark of attraction, that electric moment when eyes meet and hearts race. The slow burn of desire, the kind that builds and builds until it can't be contained. The ecstatic climax of union, where two become one in a moment of pure bliss. And the bittersweet pangs of separation and longing. The ache of being apart, yet the hope of reuniting. It's a roller coaster of emotions, all wrapped up in language that's both sensual and deeply spiritual. It's a journey through the highs and lows of love, captured in poetic form.
So, we've established that the Song of Songs is short, sweet, and attributed to a king. But there's so much more to it than just its brevity and royal authorship. But what's it actually about? Well, in a nutshell, it's a collection of love poems. Yet, these poems are far from ordinary. But these aren't your typical Hallmark card sentiments, folks. They dive deep into the raw emotions and complexities of love. We're talking about poetry that's raw, sensual, and unapologetically erotic. It doesn't shy away from the intensity of desire. Imagine verses that compare a lover's hair to a flock of goats, her neck to a tower of ivory, his body to a sculpted masterpiece. These vivid metaphors bring the lovers to life. The Song of Songs isn't afraid to get up close and personal, celebrating the beauty of the human form in all its glory. It revels in the physicality of love. And it's not just physical attraction either. The poems delve into the emotional and spiritual connections between lovers. These poems explore the full spectrum of love, from the initial flutter of attraction to the deep, abiding intimacy of a committed relationship. They capture the evolution of love. We see lovers yearning for each other, celebrating their physical connection, and navigating the complexities of love, jealousy, and commitment. It's a journey through the highs and lows of romantic relationships.
Now you might be wondering, Kyler, why are we talking about love poems when we're supposed to be discussing ancient religious texts? And that's a fair question. You see, the Song of Songs is unique in the Bible for its unabashed celebration of romantic love. Think about it. Most of the Bible deals with, shall we say, heavier topics, covenants, prophecies, moral laws, the usual. But here, nestled among the genealogies and prophecies, is this collection of poems that reads more like a love letter than a sacred scripture. It's like finding a hidden stash of Shakespearean sonnets in your grandma's attic. Unexpected, but undeniably delightful.
As we mentioned earlier, the traditional view is that King Solomon, the wisest dude in the ancient world, penned these steamy verses. And honestly, it kind of makes sense. I mean, the guy was known for his wisdom, his wealth, and, if the legends are to be believed, his harem. So it's not a stretch to imagine him being a bit of a romantic, right? Plus, the poems themselves are full of vivid imagery and metaphors, suggesting a writer with a certain flair for language. And who better to craft such eloquent verses than the king who built a temple so magnificent it made even the Queen of Sheba do a double take?
One of the things that makes the Song of Songs so captivating is its use of language. We're not talking about your average everyday vocabulary here, folks. This book is a veritable buffet of metaphors, similes, and sensory details that would make even Shakespeare jealous. Think cascading waterfalls of hair, eyes like pools of water, lips like threads of scarlet. The Song of Songs doesn't shy away from vivid descriptions, painting pictures with words that are both sensual and evocative. It's like reading a love letter written by a poet who's high on life, love, and probably some really good wine.
Now, while the surface-level reading of the Song of Songs is all about love, desire, and the joys of physical intimacy, there's a whole other layer of meaning that's been debated and discussed for centuries. You see, many religious scholars interpret the book allegorically, seeing it as a metaphor for the relationship between God and his people. In this interpretation, the passionate longing between lovers represents the soul's yearning for God, while the physical union symbolizes the spiritual connection between humanity and the divine. It's a way of understanding the text that goes beyond the literal, finding deeper spiritual truths hidden within the verses.
The Song of Songs hasn't just influenced religious thought, it's also had a profound impact on art, literature, and music throughout history. From paintings to poems to operas, artists have long been inspired by the book's themes of love, desire, and spiritual longing. Think about it. The themes of love, longing, and the beauty of the human form are universal. So it's no surprise that artists throughout history have turned to the Song of Songs for inspiration, finding in its verses a language for expressing the deepest longings of the human heart.
Speaking of influence, the Song of Songs holds a special place in Jewish tradition. It's actually one of the 5 megalo, or scrolls, that are read on specific holidays throughout the year. And guess what? The Song of Songs gets its moment in the spotlight during Passover, the festival that celebrates the Israelites' liberation from slavery in Egypt. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, love poems and liberation? What's the connection? Well, in Jewish tradition, the Song of Songs is seen as a celebration of freedom, both physical and spiritual. The love between the two protagonists represents the ultimate form of liberation, a breaking free from the constraints of loneliness and isolation.
So after all this talk of love, poetry, and allegorical interpretations, what's the takeaway message of the Song of Songs? Well, at its core, it's a celebration of love in all its forms, romantic, spiritual, and everything in between. It reminds us that love is a powerful force, capable of transforming individuals, inspiring art, and even shaping religious beliefs.
And that's a wrap on the Song of Songs, folks. I hope you enjoyed this whirlwind tour through one of the most unique and captivating books in the Bible. If you did, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button for more literary adventures, and let me know in the comments what other ancient texts you'd like me to unpack. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the love of learning alive. Stay tuned for more fascinating insights into ancient texts.